My mother-in-law poisoned me at Sunday dinner to test my allergy, so my husband had her arrested for attempted murder. I was clawing at my throat, watching the edges of my vision turn black, while my mother-in-law stood over me with her hands on her hips and rolled her eyes. The sound of my own wheezing filled the dining room, a desperate, whistling noise that sounded like a broken accordion. I reached out for my husband, my fingers scrabbling against the tablecloth, dragging a crystal wine glass onto the floor where it shattered. That sound, the crash of glass, was the only thing loud enough to cut through the buzzing in my ears. Beatrice laughed. It wasn't a nervous laugh. It was a cold, satisfied chuckle. "Oh, for God's sake, Alina," she scoffed, looking down at me like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. "Stop being so dramatic, it's just pasta." It wasn't just pasta, and she knew it. To understand how things reached this point, how Mark went from defending his mother to calling the police on her, you have to understand the pattern she built over years. Beatrice didn't believe in allergies. She believed in weakness. From the moment I entered her life, she treated my shellfish allergy like a personal insult, as if my body had betrayed her expectations. She called it modern nonsense, laughed about how she fed her sons everything under the sun, and insisted people like me were coddled into illness. Mark tried to keep us apart as much as possible, scheduling short visits, separate meals, excuses. He thought distance would soften her. Instead, it sharpened her. Every interaction became a test disguised as hospitality, sauces with secret ingredients, dishes she refused to explain, cross-contaminated counters she swore were clean. Each time I hesitated, she'd sigh dramatically and say I was embarrassing her in her own home. The worst part wasn't her behavior, it was Mark's denial. He translated her cruelty into misunderstandings, her smirks into concern. When I panicked, he told me I was overreacting. When I refused food, he said I was humiliating his mother. I learned to eat before visiting, to lie about being full, to smile while my chest tightened from fear instead of allergens. There were moments I almost convinced myself I was wrong about her. Moments where she played the part of the doting mother-in-law perfectly. That's how she won Mark over again and again. That's how she made me question my own instincts. And that's how she got me to sit down at that table believing, for once, that the truce was real. I finally let my guard down for one meal, thinking the truce was real. I was wrong. And while the doctors were cutting my clothes off to save my life, Mark found the smoking gun in the kitchen trash, and that proved his mother wasn't forgetful. She was something else. Click here to watch full video.